Thank you so much, Jessica, for joining me today. Would you like to do a brief introduction of yourself, please?
Yeah, sure. So hello, I'm Jessica Ellis. I'm 17 and I live in Warwickshire in the UK and I play the oboe.
Great, thank you. And you also play the piano, right?
Yes, yeah.
So Jessica won the age group first prize with her oboe, but also won the age group fourth prize with her piano. So amazing achievements on both instruments
Thank
at
you.
the competition this year. So Jessica, what was the experience like for you at the competition?
Yes, so in the woodwind category, I played Telemann's Fantasia No. 1 in A major and Dorati's Léger de Main. And entering the competition taught me a lot of new skills, which I think will become more important in the future because we may need to live and perform in a more digital age. So I had to learn about the optimum distance to stand from the microphone and like good light sources to use, and about framing myself and my instrument correctly and the best camera shots. And I also had to learn how to perform to a camera as opposed to a live audience. And this is something that I found really challenging at first. And it was great to be part of an international competition. And I was able to share my work with such a large audience. And it was great too to get such valuable feedback from the jury. And doing this competition has given me the confidence to enter more competitions. So in a couple of weeks, I'll be performing in the Gregynog Young Musician Competition in Wales. It's great.
That's great. So, Jessica, can you share with us a little bit about the tips that you learned through this experience? For example, what do you think is the best light for recording, and what do you think is the optimal distance from the mic, and etc.?
Yeah, sure. So with the light, I find that it's best to stand opposite a window and definitely don't have a window behind you, because when you do that, like you can turn completely black and you can just see outside the window. And probably about 3 meters from the microphone worked really well for me because of course I play the oboe and that projects quite a lot. So when you're using a microphone, sometimes that can sound really loud.
Mm. And I guess also, I mean, yes, as you say, the digital age, I think, has come upon us, and it's got its it's got its advantages, right? Without it, we won't be able to talk as we're doing now,
Yeah,
across so much distance, and also this competition wouldn't be able to happen during this pandemic. But
yeah.
also, I agree with you, it posed a lot of challenges, especially as performing artists, that we want to, what is the best way to get your message across artistically? I think that's the challenge for us now.
Yes, definitely.
Mm. So apart from the piano and the oboe, do you play any other music instruments, or that's your two instruments?
Yeah, I did used to play the recorder when I was much younger, but now just the piano and oboe.
Great. And you don't really go to a music specialist school, right? You just go to the junior academy.
Yes, I go to the junior academy on Saturdays. So
Mm.
that's where I have my oboe lessons with Josephine Lively and some orchestra rehearsals and chamber music lessons and some general musicianship lessons as well. And it
Mm.
is a very busy day because it's all packed into one day of the week, but it's
Mm.
definitely my favourite day of the week.
Mhm.
And aside from that, on the weekdays, I have to balance the 3A levels that I'm taking, which is maths, chemistry, and music, as well as 2 oboe practices every day as well. And I also have to then fit in an accompanist rehearsal, which is really important, and also reed making for the oboe. And that's really time consuming. And sometimes I can make 10 reeds and only 2 of them will work. So it
Wow.
can be quite a juggling act at times.
Yeah. Are you then, with your three A levels, are you looking to go on to a music college, or are you looking more at a university route?
I've applied for both actually. So I've applied for the Royal Academy of Music and also the Royal College of Music, and they're both in London, as well as a couple of universities as well to do music.
I see. I see. And you said every day you have two oboe practices. How does that
Yeah,
work?
yeah. So in the morning before I go to school, I do my technique practice. So I start with a warm up, like long notes and scales, and these can feel quite tedious at times, but they do really provide a really good foundation for a strong
Mhm.
technique. And it's very important on a wind instrument as well, because we're always thinking about tone and
Mm.
keeping a consistent line. And I'll also do a gilet exercise and some orchestral excerpts too. And then later in the day, so after school, I'll do my repertoire practice. So at the moment, I'm preparing for my conservatoire auditions. So I'm playing the first two movements from Handel's Sonata in C minor and Thea Musgrave's Night Windows and the Loneliness movement from that, which I think is quite apt at the moment. I'm really enjoying playing it because it conveys the feelings of isolation and abandonment that people have felt during the lockdown that we've all been through. And then I'm also playing excerpts from Pasquilli's La Favorita.
That sounds such busy but exciting day on a daily basis. That sounds
Yeah,
really fun. So do you find in the morning that your mind is more adapt to technical practices instead of
yeah,
later on?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. And it's very important on a wind instrument to do a really good warm up. And I find that's best to do at the start of the day,
Mm,
to get your breathing all sorted.
yeah. And can you tell us a little bit about your reed making? I'm always fascinated by
Oh,
it. I see my friends making their reeds. So can you tell us maybe in some simple steps what is involved and why, like why if you make 10, only two would work? What's the
yeah.
reason for that?
Shall I show you what one looks like as
Oh,
well? I've
yes,
got one
please.
you want to see. So this is what it looks like.
Yeah.
So when you're first making it, you start out with this just this brown bit at the bottom, which is called the staple. And then you get this bit, the cane, which is flat at first, and then you curve it. So you've got two bits either side. And then you get some string and tie it to a table and wrap it around like that
Okay.
till it's joined up. Then you tie a knot. And then the next bit is the most important, really, is the scraping. So you do some rough scraping with a normal knife. And then I have a profiler, and this kind of does it for you, which is quite good. You put the reed on like that, and it's this device that you move like that, and it scrapes the reed like the
Okay.
same on either side, which is really good because that's quite important that it's the same either
Mm,
side. And then it's all quite down to chance, really, whether it works or not, because it depends a lot on the cane and if you've tied it on correctly so that there's no gaps either side, so otherwise air can escape out.
yeah.
So usually it wouldn't work if, like I say, there's gaps on either side or like little gaps in the string, anywhere that air can escape out.
Mm,
Uh, and also because you're like applying quite a lot of pressure to put the string on, it can actually snap the cane, and
uh,
then that completely destroys the reed. It won't work at all.
I see, I see. So how much time roughly do you spend on reed making on a weekly basis?
2 hours a week, I'd say. So I
Uh,
like to do it in the evening, really, before bed to
yeah.
get it done. And then you have to blow them all in, of course, as well. So it's still not over, really.
Mm. That sounds really, I can imagine the process can be quite therapeutic as well, strangely, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
in
I
the
put on
evenings.
some nice music when I'm doing it and just relax. Yeah.
Yeah. And so with your A level exams probably happening quite soon, right? Um, around the
Yeah.
year, sort of next summer.
Yes, hopefully. I think that's the plan that they'll be taking place.
Yeah. Oh yes, the pandemic.
Mm,
Yes, I think
yeah.
finally the A level exams are happening. So how do you? So you said you fit in a lot of stuff with your A levels and your practices on both the oboe and the piano, and also your highlight of the week is going to the junior academy. Do you, if you have one advice for, I don't know if advice can be said as one advice or two. If you have some advice for the audience on how do you balance your time between your academic studies and your music studies, please.
Well, I have found that it's really beneficial to just do a shorter, really efficient practice than trying to just do one really long one. And if for some reason I can't find time to do my oboe studies, I find that time spent looking at the music away from the instrument can be really beneficial. Like before
Mm,
bed, just reading the music and looking at the dynamics and listening to recordings done by famous oboists is really beneficial.
mm,
And then I'm quite lucky at school. I have free periods, which means there aren't any lessons. So I can fit in some extra practice then. or catch up on any work as well.
That's lovely. And I very much agree with you that sometimes practice doesn't need to be you actually playing your instrument. It can just be silent practice, like you said, reading the score or just even just thinking about your piece is all very helpful.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So apart from your busy schedule with your academic studies, school and music, what else do you enjoy doing as a form of relaxation?
Yeah, I really enjoy running and swimming and walking our dog. And at the weekend, sometimes I go to Manchester or Shropshire to visit friends. And I found that the oboe really isn't an instrument that you can physically play for 8 hours every day. So it's very
Mm,
like, physically challenging. You have to have a really good stamina and breath
mm.
technique. So time spent away from music can be really beneficial.
Mm, yes. And do you find, because especially I've always fascinated by wind instruments because it involves so much physical sort of skills and physical techniques on like breathing, as you say. Do you find doing sports like swimming really help you when you do your breathing in
Yeah,
when you play the instrument?
yeah, definitely. Because it's almost like a way of practicing without playing the instrument because you're still developing your lung capacity and
Mm,
everything that's so important on the oboe. Because it is quite like singing, it takes a lot of air and like continuous supply of air.
mm,
Yeah, swimming's really good for that as well as running. Yeah.
mm. So you live in, where do you live, Jessica?
I live in Warwickshire in the UK, so it's about an hour and a half from London on the train.
Okay. And so you make that sort of 3 hour round trip every Saturday to go to the junior academy.
Yeah.
And can you, because a lot of our audiences probably haven't been to the UK, can you maybe introduce a bit about life where you are, or in the UK in general, as a young musician? What opportunities are there? What platforms are there? What sort of thing do you enjoy doing as a young musician?
Yeah, okay. So there are many opportunities for young musicians in the UK. So when you're really young, you can learn an instrument at school, and then we have these county music schemes that you can progress through. So when I was 7, I played the recorder, and I was part of the Warwick County Music Service and part of an early music group where you get to perform in really exciting places, like we performed at the University of Warwick. And the county music services are really good because they provide you with instrumental lessons and they allow you to hire instruments as well. And then after that, if you're really passionate about music, you could apply to a junior conservatoire, like I'm doing in London, or you could commit full time to a specialist music school like Chetham's or Purcell. And I actually used to go to Chetham's as well, so it's good to have those two sides of music, be doing them both ways. And we also have some great orchestral opportunities in the UK too. Like we have the National Children's Orchestra, and that auditions children between the ages of 8 and 13 for age banded orchestras. And I was part of the NCO for 4 years, and I got to play all over the UK with them. And you get to make some great friends and play some amazing repertoire. And then after that, when you're a bit older, there's of course the National Youth Orchestra of Great Britain and the City of Birmingham Youth Orchestra too. But if you don't want to commit full time to those national orchestras and have to do 3 or 4 residential courses each year, we do have some great local orchestral opportunities too. So
Mm,
where I live, there's the Warwick Symphony Orchestra. And next January, actually, I'm playing the Vaughan Williams Oboe Concerto with the Bedford Symphony Orchestra under the conductor Michael Rose. And we're quite lucky as well because we live quite near London. We can travel to London and watch the LSO perform at the Barbican, or we could even watch a prom at the Royal Albert Hall.
yeah, great. Yes, London is very much spoiled by the different choices of live performance on a daily basis. Right, you could go to one of the major concert halls, like you said, Albert Hall, Barbican, Royal Festival Hall, etc., etc. Or you can just walk into a local church,
Yes.
and they do daily concerts as well, normally lunchtime. So really, there's so much to go and see if you wanted to. Yeah, no, it's amazing, isn't it? I really miss living in London full time and being able to enjoy all of this. But how, so Jessica, I have one question.
Mm.
Because you put so much effort and time into your music learnings and doing your 3 hour round trip every week to go and do your music, do you find sometimes things get a little bit challenging, or you find it quite tough sometimes? What do you tell yourself to help you to think, but then I really want to do it. I love it so much, so I must keep going.
I think definitely listening to recordings and just watching concerts online just really helps me realize how much I love playing. And that's why I'm doing it, really. It doesn't have to be this big burden that I'm doing all this extra music. So,
Mm.
yeah, just watching concerts. And then when I'm at academy, I get to play in an orchestra. And that's just really exciting and fun, really, because you're surrounded by all these other amazing musicians who are all pushing towards the same goal that you are, just to make lovely music.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing, right? You always have sort of little moments, because sometimes practice can get quite tough, especially if you work on something and it doesn't work for a long time. Uh,
Yeah.
but I think these little moments, like you said, when you go to the junior academy, you meet your friends and you make music together, and those moments really remind you why you are doing it in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think musical interactions with people around you and this and the when you feel that your music is touching people, I think those are the most amazing moments as a musician. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you have any question to ask me?
Um, I was wondering how different you found doing the competition online this year rather than in person, and what were the challenges of that for you?
Um, it's different. I mean, the biggest difference, I guess, is not being able to meet everybody and get to know them, like the way I used to be able to when we were in person. Because that's one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to do it in the first place, is to get to know the young musicians and to hear their stories and to see if we can help in any way. So I think that's the biggest challenge. And I guess for young musicians, for you guys, probably the biggest challenge was to how to make the best recordings, and how do you get your performance and the joy across through a camera instead of having a live audience. So I think that's the challenge from both sides. But I think the the good things about it is the fact that there's no travel involved, there's no borders, because I'm sure a lot of people, if it's in London, for example, a lot of people probably won't be able to come to take part. So it being online means that more people can be involved. And also, when we try to do the new talent series this year, I think the talks, it's the same. You know, more people can get involved and ask questions, etc. So I think online is definitely something that we probably want to keep doing going forward after the pandemic also, so that we can reach more people that way. But I'm very much looking forward to, you know, at least having some in-person elements, because I think live music still has that special magic that online can't quite replace. And it's really nice to have young musicians being with themselves as well in the same space, to collaborate or to
Yeah.
just exchange ideas and just get to know each other. I think that was my highlights when I was in music college and when I was at school. When I found things challenging playing the violin, I always think back to those moments, or look forward to moments where I could then meet new friends through music and make music together with them. So I hope that we will be able to recreate that sort of opportunities for young musicians like you.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's really exciting. Hopefully, fingers crossed that the pandemic will just, you know, say bye bye to us for for good. Yeah. So Jessica, you prepared a performance for us.
Yes, yes. I'll just go and get my oboe
Yes,
and
please.
move
Thank
it.
you. It's amazing, right? Because you guys have to keep the reed moist, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
smoking it during the interview. Yeah.
So Jessica, what piece are you going to perform?
I'm going to be playing the first two movements from Handel's Sonata in C minor for oboe.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jessica.
Thank you.
How long have you been learning this piece?
Probably about 2 months now.
So it's
Yeah.
still relatively new.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So great. Thank you so much, Jessica, for your time and sharing so much with us, your musical life and your life away from music. It all sounds really exciting. Let us know more, maybe nearer the time, about your performance with the Bedford Symphony Orchestra. We'll be able to broadcast it on our platforms as well. So hopefully our audiences in the UK will be able to come and enjoy your performances in the UK. Thank you so much, Jessica. Keep in touch. Let us know your news and updates, and good luck with your auditions and applications.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll see you soon.
Yeah. Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Enjoy your half term. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye.